This is Hot Mike.
Hot Mike.
On the networks of WDAY. Here's Dom Izzo. Time to chat some hockey.
Shot score! North Dakota wins!
The best college hockey writer in the country is on deck.
North Dakota, champions of the college hockey world.
Here's Brad Schlossman.
Always great to hear that music. Brad Schlossman from the Grand Forks Herald joining us on this Friday morning. Brad, I feel like it was just yesterday you and I were here talking UND hockey. Now we're officially ready to get into the full swing of things. Are you ready for the season to start tonight?
Yeah, I think so. It's been a long off season of a lot of writing about coaching makeup, roster makeup. UND really turned over its roster this offseason. So now it's time to get to watch some games. Got to see a little bit of exhibition last weekend, but I always think that you can't tell a whole lot till you start getting into real games, and you probably need to see at least a month sample size before we really know what everyone's looking like around the country.
North Dakota taking on St. Thomas to open up the season. It's a home-and-home series this weekend, today and on Sunday, at the Ralph tonight, and then down in the Twin Cities on Sunday. Brad, I know you just said you can't take a lot out of the exhibition. North Dakota beat Manitoba 7-0 in their exhibition last week. Was there anything that jumped off the page to you at all?
I saw when they had a scrimmage, I could kind of see some chemistry between Max Swanson and Cole Reschny. I was curious if Jack Kernan can play on a line with those guys. Well, he had 2 goals in that game, so I think that's a really good sign for Jack Kernan. The goaltenders weren't tested a whole lot, but when they were, they made the saves they needed to make. I thought that was a good sign. And then the other thing, when they played the scrimmage, I thought one of their power play units was really sloppy and not very good, and that unit scored 3 power play goals against Manitoba. So a little bit of progress. I don't really have a whole lot of huge sweeping assessments from that. Max Swanson's looked great all fall, and I thought the exhibition was a continuation of that. He had 3 points in that exhibition.
One thing I wanted to ask you, and I've seen his name pop up a couple of times over the last couple of weeks. He's been out of a couple of team events. EJ Emery, been out with an injury. Is there an update? Is he going to be available tonight that you may think, or what's the latest on him?
Yeah, he went through full practice yesterday. I saw, Dane Jackson had a conversation with him after practice. I don't know whether they've made a decision whether he's in or out. He's either in or he's close.
Okay.
Because the fact that he's going through the full practice, to me, signals that, he's either playing or he's really close to playing, one or the other. So that's going to be the one thing I'm looking on the line chart when I get to the rink tonight to see if he's in or not.
Okay, we'll see. A really, really good player for the University of North Dakota. Hopefully he can get out and join the team for the start of the season. Let's talk about this season opener tonight. St. Thomas coming into town. And for those that haven't been following along with St. Thomas hockey or the landscape of college hockey, the Tommies are 1-0 on the year. They beat St. Cloud State to open up the season. We're showing you some of the highlights, which pains me to watch, but they play pretty well. For those that don't know, St. Thomas, when they moved up, it was a slow start in the entry to college hockey, and now that really the school, all the athletic departments, now that they have all grown, the hockey program has grown. In my opinion, this is a team that really could become a national power soon. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, they have the resources. They're about to open a brand new arena. I believe the players moved into the locker room on Monday this week. There's money that's backing the school. And it's right in the Twin Cities, which is the heart of an area that produces the most number of college hockey players anywhere. It's a really nice campus. There's a lot of things going for St. Thomas, and I'm not super shocked to see the Tommies ranked as a top 20 team right now entering the this weekend series. They're pretty good.
I'm looking at their roster right now. It looks like they got about 17 guys from Minnesota, a couple North Dakota guys on there as well. Did you get the opportunity to watch their first game? What did you see from them as they are about to head into the Ralph tonight?
Yeah, I mean, I thought the top line was really, really good. They jumped off the page. Whenever Wallen was out on the ice, like something was happening. Every time St. Thomas was making plays and buzzing, you'd look up and be like, oh, there's number 3 again.
Mm-hmm.
I was in the mix of it. Van Vliet is a guy that uh, came in. He played for the U.S. national team development program for 2 years. Then he went and played 1 year a junior. Now he's coming into St. Thomas. I thought his speed and skill was really noticeable. So, they've got those guys on the same line. Their second line, they've got some bigger bodies. Nathan Pilling, who scored the game winner, he's one of those CHL recruits they got out of the WHL. He plays center on that line. Cage Sturzer is a 6'5" power winger, and so they've got those top two lines are really noticeable. I thought against St. Cloud State,
Yeah.
and it's going to be interesting to see how UND handles that. Do they match lines tonight at home? That's something Brad Berry loved to do. He was very good at matching lines when he had last line change. Will UND try to match D pairings whenever those guys are on the ice? I'm really curious to watch how the game is managed.
Speaking of Brad Berry, if I'm not mistaken, his son Bauer is a freshman on this St. Thomas team. You have an article out on the Grand Forks Herald, and I didn't realize this, just the connections between the two programs.
Yeah.
There's plenty of them, isn't there?
Yeah, first time these teams have ever played, but I think
Yeah.
fans are going to be really familiar with a lot of names on the team. Bauer Berry's a freshman defenseman there, Edmonton Oilers draft pick, kind of a shutdown defenseman style, won a Clark Cup last year with Muskegon. Obviously, his dad, Brad, played here, was an assistant coach here, and the head coach for the last 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
Mason Poolman, he's a defenseman on St. Thomas. His father, Mark, has been the athletic trainer at UND for 31 years. So his dad's going to be on the other bench. His brothers, Colton and Tucker, played at UND. Very familiar name here. Carl Gehring, the national champion winning goaltender at UND. He's been an assistant coach here for 13 years, including the last 6. He's going to be on the other bench. And then Lee Gorin, who is the MVP of the 2000 Frozen Four, he's started to do some ops work with the team, and I think he'll be back in the building this weekend as well. So some very prominent UND hockey names over at St. Thomas, and yeah, young program, but some familiarity there. Actually, I think their first starting goalie in program history was Peter Tome, who spent 4 years at UND as well. So yeah, a lot of these guys there, Grand Forks people aren't going to need much of an introduction.
Yeah, Peter Tome, that's a name I haven't heard in a little while. That's cool. It adds to this game, again, as you mentioned, first time these two programs are going to go up against each other. And as we mentioned as well, it is a home and home. So at the Ralph tonight, then they're down in the cities. They'll play not at the X, it's at Grand Casino Arena now. So they'll play on Sunday at 5 o'clock down there. Thoughts on the home and home? St. Cloud did this with St. Thomas when they first joined college hockey, and it was their first home game. The place was empty. Now, I don't expect that to be the case on Sunday when they go down to the Twin Cities. UND travels much better than SCSU does, and St. Thomas has a better following now.
Yeah, for sure. And the home and home was not by design. This was supposed to be a series, 2-game series this year in Grand Forks, 2-game series next year in St. Paul. Well, after they signed that, the NCHC admitted St. Thomas as a member starting in 2026. So now they're going to be playing conference games next year. So they decided to wipe that series off the schedule and just give each team a home game this year. So that's why they're doing it. This was not planned. I don't think we're going to see this in the future. But yeah, St. Thomas, I think over the years, as it's built its program, has started to get better and better crowds for that XLNG game. Sorry, Grand Casino Arena. We'll have it die hard. And I would think they'll have a decent crowd. The one thing is, most of the UND fans might be fans who live in the Twin Cities.
Right.
It is a Sunday night game. If it were
Yeah.
Saturday night, maybe you'd see some more people make the drive. I'm curious how many people will drive out for that. I think you'll see a lot of fans who live in the cities and alums who live in the cities come out for that game.
That would make sense. Looking forward to UND opening up their season against St. Thomas. I got to ask you about just the start to the college hockey season in
Yeah.
general. I was off at NDSU volleyball last night, so I didn't get the opportunity to see what was going on. But recap what we saw last night. What did I see? Western Michigan goes down, Michigan State goes down, and Penn State goes down. Those are three top four teams. That's crazy.
Yeah, three of the top four teams lost at home. And I think that might be a little preview to what we're going to see this season. Now, with the CHL players being eligible for
Mm-hmm.
college for the first time in more than 40 years, that has exploded the player pool. More than 200 players entering college hockey this season would not have been eligible under the old rules. And when you have a deeper player pool, it means there's more parity and there's more
Yeah.
depth. No matter what sport you're talking about, the larger the player pool, the more parity there's going to be. And the player pool has never been larger. And I think it's going to lead to parity.
Mm.
Night one would lend to that with the upsets. I don't
Yeah.
even know if I want to call them upsets. I
Okay.
mean, Ferris beating Western Michigan at home, yeah, that's an upset. Clarkson, going and winning. New Hampshire winning. I think we're going to see so much of that um, I by the end of the season we might not be calling them upsets anymore.
Right, and I was just thinking that too. I mean, I'm looking at the top five, and it's your usual suspects: Western Michigan, Michigan State, Boston, Penn State, Denver. They're always going to be in that conversation. But you mentioned it last time you were on. This could be one of the most exciting seasons of college hockey in recent memory, and this just showed it. What happened last night with these upsets, if you want to call them that or not.
Yeah, and the one team we didn't bring up in the top four there was BU. BU won
Mm-hmm.
its opener against Long Island. Long Island outshot BU in that game.
Yeah,
So
wild.
uh, I think it is going to be exciting in the sense that every night you go to the rink, every night you flip on the game, you don't know what's going to happen. I'm kind of bored when I, flip on the game and I already know what's going to happen before it happens, and then I watch it happen. I just
Mm-hmm.
don't think that's entertaining. So I think it'll be entertaining. I think fans of powerhouse teams that are used to seeing their teams win 80% of their games and easily beat bottom teams, I think they're going to be a little frustrated because they're not going to be used to some of the competition that we're going to see this year. But I think it's going to be fun to watch and follow.
I'm looking at the schedule, and I was going to ask you this last week, but I forgot. Is there a series on UND's schedule this season that kind of stands out to you? I know they got Minnesota at home coming up. NCHC play is always going to be great. Is there one that stands out to you?
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be Minnesota. That's
Yeah.
just, I think that's college hockey's best rivalry. Um, and it rarely lets you down. Like these teams just seem to constantly play epic games.
Mm-hmm.
The fans are always into it, no matter whether it's at Ralph Engelstad Arena or at Mariucci. It's just one of college hockey's great spectacles for sure. And I think anytime those teams get together, fans on both sides of the rivalry are pretty excited because they know they're going to see an unbelievable product. And a lot of times you go back and look at the rosters of these old teams when they played each other, and you're like, man, were there some unbelievable players on the ice on both sides. So it's a great rivalry, and anytime those teams play, it's appointment viewing.
Minnesota is 1-2 to start the season with a pair of losses at home. What's going on with them?
Uh, Really, they lost six guys early to NHL contracts last year. It's
Yeah.
a big roster turnover for Minnesota. Last week, three guys out with injury, compounding that issue. I think it's going to be a process for Minnesota when you can't lose six first round draft
Yeah.
picks and just keep rolling. That's really hard to do. So I think it's going to be a process for Minnesota. I think you'll see a lot of what you saw in that first weekend against Michigan Tech.
Yeah.
There were times Minnesota looked great, and there were times Minnesota did not look good. And that is the sign of young players in college hockey, even the best. You see the best players look great one night, and then the next night they really struggle. As they get older, you see more consistency. And so I think as a whole, it's a young team. You're going to see some ups and downs from Minnesota this season, and other young teams that are in the same boat. You're going to see some of that as well.
Brad, I appreciate you having you on. It's always a pleasure. Best of luck with the start of the season happening tonight, and have fun at the Ralph tonight.
Perfect. Thanks, Sam.
Absolutely. Brad Schlossman joining us from the Grand Forks Herald, the University of North Dakota, taking on St. Thomas tonight to start the season. 7 o'clock puck drop for that. St. Thomas is the number 19th ranked team in the country right now after their win against St. Cloud State. Really, you can throw any rankings out the window. And as Brad mentioned, yesterday really proved that. College hockey, there's so much parity this year with transfer portal additions for everybody, Canadian hockey players being allowed to come down. Going to be a dynamite year, no doubt about that. So they got the Tommies tonight, and then as we've mentioned, they're down at the Grand Casino Arena, which I'm still not used to saying at all. 5:07 on Sunday. Late start time for that. I'm really curious to see if there's anybody from our neck of the woods up here in North Dakota that's going to make that drive and a quick turnaround to get ready for work on Monday. The big one, as Brad mentioned, is next week. Minnesota comes into Grand Forks. Friday, Saturday series should be a lot of fun. We'll see what kind of team Minnesota is when they come up here. They got Clarkson after that, and then some NCHC competition following. Their lone non-conference game in November is against Bemidji, and they also have Mercyhurst as well later on in the year. Then the rest is conference play. So the season is here. It is an exciting time. The NHL is in full swing as well. Opening night was just the other night. A lot happening on the ice. We're in that crossover phase. Basketball starting again here in the next couple of weeks. Hockey is underway. We still got football going, still got volleyball going, still got soccer going as well. Busy time. Busy time. No doubt about that. Good competition all over the place. We'll step aside when we come back. Speaking of good competition, we're going to look ahead to all the big-time high school football games that are coming up tonight across the region. We'll remind you of our games of the week as well. And also, don't forget, Dom's dad will join us at 10:35 and give us his picks for NFL Sunday coming up this weekend. That's next on Hot Mic.